Thanks and welcome to join me on the 6:15 News. I'm Kejang Henry at Timbe in Douala. We begin with our top stories. Hard times for hundreds of Besenga residents as a demolition galore sent them off their homes. The victims say their lifetime investments have been blown into oblivion. And experts say 5 out of 8 women die of cervical cancer every day in Cameroon. The situation is very excruciating and needs to come under control. And Pope Benedict XVI is now resting in the bosom of the Lord. The late pontiff was buried this morning by his successor, Pope Francis, in Rome. Those were our top stories.
Canal International.
Come to join me, Kejang Henry. Hook up with us on our Facebook page and, of course, on our YouTube handle. And let's begin with this very bitter one that comes from Besenga. In fact, it took the survey of the anti-riot police to make sure they stopped those residents at Valley Besenga in Douala following a demolition galore that sent them off their homes. Hundreds of them are presently scampering for where to save their heads at night. And they say all their lifetime investment have been blown into oblivion. Details in Morindi.
It is a bad beginning of the year for some residents of Besenga Ashanti at the heart of Douala. They were forced to scamper for safety following the demolition of their houses by council authorities. As the caterpillars tear through the swamp, the victims battled to save their lifetime investments, picking up roofing sheets and other properties to unknown destinations. Others had already vacated their homes, which had earlier been marked for demolition, but others remained resistant, disclosing their area was not included in the project that claims more land along the railway lines. The talks of 35 meters away from the rails and a section of Valley Besenga had already paid the price as houses were demolished sometimes last year. This man claims countless meetings with a senior divisional officer and other government companies claiming ownership of the land did not help them. Some chiefs in the area received threats obliging them to comply with government decision. He talks of a pipeline project which has to pass through the Besenga neighborhood. Tension remains high as the people seek answers to their problems in vain. Meantime, the press release signed by the senior divisional officer for Wuri on January 4 described the victims as illegal occupants of government land with demolition to begin this Thursday, January 5. The press release for the people to vacate the area did not deter them. Meantime, the first assistant ASIO for Wuri was at the site to evaluate the ongoing demolition exercise. On the spot, he announced compensation for those with land certificates to begin in the days ahead. Government cannot abandon its children in the streets. Measures have been taken to settle them elsewhere in a more distant area, and they will be compensated in the days ahead.
Thanks very much, Maureen. The experts say that at least 8 women are diagnosed of cervical cancer in a day, with 5 out of the 8 out of 8 women dying of the disease in Cameroon. The problem remains very crucial, and medics are calling on women to go on for constant screening. In fact, this was one of the focus during a training of women and cervical cancer by the English-speaking journalist of Cameroon. Once more, Morindi.
Described as a silent killer, cervical cancer remains a threat to women's health. In Cameroon, at least 8 are diagnosed of cervical cancer in a day, and 5 out of the 8 die.
Cervical cancer began as a pre-cancer, and the pre-cancer takes an average of 10 years to become an invasive cervical cancer. So to prevent cervical cancer is to do screening.
When you are found with a pre-cancers, if it is a low-grade pre-cancer, you spend about 50,000 francs for a treatment. If it is a high-grade pre-cancer, you spend about 100,000 francs for treatment.
Medical experts are battling to awaken spirits and pull women's attention on a disease which could be completely treated.
We have 2 major ways of treating it. We have the ablative treatment method, which is destroying the precancerous lesions. We can do that with cryotherapy, which uses ice to freeze the precancer. Or we can do it with what we call thermal ablation, which is heat to burn the precancerous lesions.
One of the solutions for exposure is getting journalists write the stories behind the burdens of women caused by cervical cancer. In this hall and Bopi Baptist Hospital, English-speaking journalists from HPV are grabbing knowledge and skills on how to better their stories.
Now, the second type of treatment is the excision treatment. It is recommended that women should begin their screening at the age of 25.
Placed under the patronage of the Ministry of Public Health, National Cancer Control Committee, Humanity at Heart International, and Women's Health Program, the one-day workshop, January 4, 2023, it sounded like a wake-up call for journalists to constantly report on a disease that kills a woman every 2 minutes across the world.
And a woman dies every 2 minutes in Cameroon from cervical cancer, whereas the disease is preventable and can be completely eliminated. Meantime, health experts have recommended the HPV vaccine against cervical cancer and some other forms of cancer for young boys and girls between ages of 9 and 15. Ambo Gladys reports on how effective the vaccine is.
The HPV vaccine against cervical cancer concerns both girls and boys from age 9. This will help prevent the young people from the human papilloma virus, which causes cervical cancer, responsible for the deaths of at least 300,000 women yearly across the world. In Cameroon, the vaccine is free of charge.
The human papilloma virus vaccine is available in Cameroon and in all the districts in Cameroon, and it is given for free. That is a vaccine that costs about 150,000 francs per dose. If you have a child between the age of 9 to 14 years, you get to any health facility around you, then you will be able to vaccinate this young girl for free.
Shockingly, hundreds of thousands of these HPV vaccines expire in Cameroon, according to health experts of the Humanity at Heart International and Women's Health Program of the CBC Health Service. They relate this to public ignorance and reticence, emphasizing that apart from cervical cancer, the human papilloma virus also causes other cancers.
But it can also cause cancer of the penis, cancer of the vulva, cancer of the vagina, and cancer of the anus.
Reason for the constant need for advocacy, community education, and awareness to help prevent and eliminate the disease.
When we do this awareness creation, many people will come to the knowledge of this disease and catch it early. You know, it doesn't have signs or symptoms.
With a steady rise in the incidence and mortality rate of cervical cancer in Cameroon, with one woman dying every 2 minutes, these health experts are emphasizing on the need to implement WHO's cancer elimination strategy through the 90-70-90 target by 2030.
Thanks very much, Ambo Gladys. Workers of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security have been tasked to step up services of the ministerial department for the good of the public servant. In fact, the call was made by the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Ouna, at the presentation of a public service guide Thursday after an evaluation of the 2022 works. Details with Hyacinth Chia.
2 days of heated deliberations here between the centralized and the decentralized personnel of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security as they review their activities in this 2022 annual conference in Yaoundé. The forum, chaired by Minister Gregoire Ouna, was an occasion to auto-evaluate their functioning to be able to consolidate strides in 2023 and redress areas of lapses. The session culminated with the handing over of User's Guide and Administrative Procedure material by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Lee, to the Ministerial Department. The staff urged to make use of the tool to provide laudable services to Cameroonians. They need to break tough barriers that render public servants frustrated. You have to send signals of confidence to users. The Cameroonian public are waiting for quality services of efficiency. I exhort you to make use of this guide to better serve Cameroonians. And they have equally been tasked to intensify the fight against corruption in their ministerial units.
Thanks, Hyacinth. And the first runner-up for the 2023 Miss Cameroon contest took off for the United States earlier today to represent Cameroon at the upcoming Miss Universe contest. She was accompanied at the Douala airport by her supporters, and Mona Lisa says she has to fly Cameroon's flag very high as a lioness. Details with Stephanie Chin.
Mona Lisa Mukete, first runners-up for the 2022 Miss Cameroon contest, was escorted in a grand style to the Douala International Airport earlier this Thursday, January 5, where she took off for the United States of America to represent Cameroon at the upcoming Miss Universe Beauty contest. We affirm our support to the first runners-up by sending her for the Miss Universe contest. She has real qualities to represent her country because she's used to international competitions and she has got all to defend her project, and why not valorize her country? So we are all behind Mona Lisa, and we are inviting massively not only the media to relay the information but also bloggers and groups to vote, because it's not all about supporting verbally, but we need to vote. Miss Mona Lisa will have a clear-cut program of the contest when she arrives the United States.
The timetable is very tough, but today, as I'm going today, tomorrow we'll start with the beginning of the activities. According to their program day, we'll have to know what we have to do precisely. Mona Lisa Mukete expressed an earnest desire to represent Cameroon honorably. As we are going today, we are not going to play, we are going to conquer the world, we are going to take the crown. And as a lion, indomitable lion, I know that you can go to win. Miss Universe 2023 contest kicks off on January 8 to run till January 14. Cameroonians remain positive that Mona Lisa Mukete will make them proud.
Thanks very much, Stephanie Chin. Pope Francis has buried his predecessor, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. The mortal remains of Benedict XVI is now lying in a crypt beneath the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, where 50,000 mourners streaming to bid goodbye to the Pope. And of course, Pope Francis actually said the Mass and final blessings. Meantime, the seat of the Pope Benedict XVI of the altar of the Mary Queen of the Apostles Minor Basilica at Mfoli in Yaoundé will be transformed into a monument where Catholic faithfuls can venerate and worship God. Details with Beatrice Ngamo from Yaoundé. Well, we're very sorry for that, the poor quality of the sound for that report there by Beatrice Ngamu, but just to see that, well, Pope Benedict is now lying in the bosom of the Lord as he was buried today by his successor, Pope Francis, in Rome, and now lying in the St. Peter's Basilica. Well, that brings us to the end of this newscast. I've been Kejan Henry Atimbe. Thank you graciously for keeping the faith with us on the news. Programs will continue this time. Lee Piju is coming up with The Brief.